Alright, today we're going to work on building a 3D printer. This is a new project for me. I haven't done this before, so I'm pretty excited to give it a try. I saw a video on YouTube from a gentleman in Germany by the name of Thomas Sanladerer. I butchered your name, Tom, sorry. And he has a video about how to build a clone Prusa i3 M2K, and that's what we're going to work on today. I'm following his video instructions. He has 7 different videos that he's done, 8 videos that he's done so far. I'm waiting for the next one. I think he's going to do one more still on some of the a short build, but altogether his 8 videos consist of about 17 hours of viewing and part purchasing and assembly and coding the actual 3D printer when it's done. And that's what this process is going to be about today. This video is going to be about. I'll probably make multiple videos. I won't be able to get all this in. I probably won't be able to get it in 17 hours, as he got his in 17 hours, and he's been working with 3D printers for years. So I'm going to try and follow the process. I'm not going to make 17 hours worth of video. If you want to see 17 hours worth of video on a Prusa i3 clone, then by all means, go check out Tom's YouTube channel or his website, and he'll show you what to do there. I'm just going to go through the process of things that I've learned from building it, and stuff that I feel like here in the U.S. would be benefit for people in the U.S. to know, because Tom is in Germany and he was going off a lot of German stuff, and I've run into a few complications being in the U.S. and want to talk about those for anybody that's doing the same build here in the U.S. So let's get started. First off, the Prusa i3 MK2 printer is about a $700–800 printer. Purchase, you get it, I just lost my lighting. That was awesome. Okay, well, it looks like the camera adjusted a little bit for the lighting, but we just lost our lighting, and I don't have 2 lights yet, so I was working on getting another one. Now I need to work on getting 2 lights, at least bulbs. I had 2 lights, one bulb was burnt out. Now the second bulb's burnt out. And we'll go through the processes. Some of the things real quick I've noticed, and I'm sorry about the lighting, but the frame I'm using is different than his. I'm using a birch board, 6mm plywood. He used 3/4 inch or 18mm, I think it was, plywood on his. A little different. His is a pressed board. Mine's a, I guess it's kind of plywood, but his is a pressed, just random board, and mine is a more of a finished birch board face. I still have my paper on the front of it from when I cut it out on the jigsaw. I'll talk about that. Probably won't show it. I do have to do a modification to it still. I haven't finished it. So we'll go back out and do that modification. Maybe we'll catch some of that on the jigsaw. It's actually not a jigsaw. I'm sorry. It's a scroll saw. Other things, I'm waiting on parts. These are some belts that I had here from my CNC router, and 3 printers that I had taken apart, old style printers, jet printers or something like that. I can't remember what they were, but there's some bands I had. I was trying to find them. All of my parts shipped from AliExpress in China, except I'm waiting on 3, and I haven't seen those yet, so I'm getting impatient. I want to start, and I don't really need the belt to start, but that's one of the things I was missing. And I got all my belts out that I have, and none of them are the right tooth count, I don't think. So I'm going to have to just sit back and wait it out. This one is the right tooth count, but it's just too small. So I'm going to have to wait it out and wait for those to get here. I'm also waiting on, I'm waiting on my 3D print head. That's not here yet either. So I think we're using an E3D print head, or a knockoff E3D print head. This is a complete knockoff machine. This is not going to be an original Prusa i3 MK2. If you want one of those, spend the $700–800 and go buy one. They're great machines from what I hear. I have no idea. I've never done 3D printing. Never played with one, never touched one. So this is the first attempt for me, and we're going to give it a shot. But I think the build's probably going to cost me $200. It may cost a little more because I made some mistakes in purchasing my parts, but since those parts were my mistakes, I'll tell you about them, but they're not really part of the build cost. And I have a bunch of parts that I own, such as the motors, which the motors, I think there's $41 for the motors. I have motors already from my CNC router that I upgraded to bigger motors, so I have leftover motors from that, and that will save me $41, but it wouldn't save you because you don't have it. So the print cost is somewhere in the range of $2, just over $2 maybe. We'll add up all the prices as we go and try and get some kind of build cost together. I'm not going to be detailed about that. I'll let you guys shop for your own stuff because prices change on a regular basis on the AliExpress. And I'll give some details about how the AliExpress shopping and all that went. It seemed to go really well. I'm pretty excited. I'm missing a couple pieces, but that's just because they haven't shipped yet. And they do warn you that it could be 3 to 6 weeks to get your parts. It has been 3 weeks since I started this, maybe a little longer. Probably not, though. So we'll get going on this. Lastly, before you do Tom's videos and you start to jump the gun, one of the biggest mistakes that I made in this whole process was buying the 3D printed parts for the printer. You have to print off your own parts or get your own parts to build the printer. It is a rep wrap machine, so you're basically building a printer with printed parts you made on a printer. If this is your first 3D printer, you don't have access to printed parts. So you have to go out and, give a friend a 6-pack of beer and have them help you print them or something, or you have to go buy them. And 3D Hubs is where I bought mine. There's also Fab Labs, as Tom mentions in his videos. I started to try to go to the Fab Lab, and by the time I actually got in touch with somebody, I was so anxious I had already bought them on 3D Hubs. So 3D Hubs printed parts are great, but I made a mistake. I didn't actually buy them on 3D Hubs the first time. I bought them off eBay the first time. And all the parts out there on eBay are wrong. Don't buy them. If you're trying to do the MK2, you're not going to get the right parts. All the parts that are on eBay that are marked Prusa i3 are a rework part for the old Prusa i3 prior to the MK2. And I'll show you one piece real quick here. New parts. Bad parts. Bad parts costing me about $25. This gear. If you see this gear in your parts, you've got the wrong set. That's a dead giveaway that you're ordering the wrong set for this build. There's a lot of other parts in here, but that was the one that was a dead giveaway. I mean, I'm looking at some of these parts and don't know what they do or how they work. So that didn't help me. But when I got to this part here, I was like, how come that's not in Tom's build anywhere? Well, because old Prusa i3. New one doesn't use that anymore. It uses a grub sub screw or something like that. I have a little bitty screw in one of my bags somewhere here. Also, motor mounts, everything's changed new. And kind of a benefit to having ordered the wrong parts. I ordered them off eBay, and they were all PLA, which I didn't know the difference because in his first video he didn't talk too much about PLA, ABS, any of that. And honestly, I'd never printed anything before, so I didn't know the difference between PLA and ABS or PTEG or whatever it is. I still don't know the difference that much. I do know that ABS can handle more heat. And he suggests doing all your parts in ABS. So if you're printing these yourself, starting note, do ABS because the hot end, or the hot end will melt the parts, the PLA parts, if you use PLA. The only parts that I am using that are still out of the original bag of the PLA are my corners, my Y corners. They just, they were the right size and everything. They're already built. It didn't seem like they were anywhere near the hot end, so I didn't really care. They're going to be out in the corners. So I didn't order those when I ordered from 3D Hubs, and it saved me a little bit of money on the 3D Hubs, and I have to order those parts. The rest of these, anybody looking for some i3, I think Mendel, maybe? I don't know. Parts. I've got a bag of unuseful parts that you can probably have if you're willing to pay for shipping. I don't want to ship them out. I also had a friend try and do it for me. It was okay, but this piece took 2 hours, and the first time we did it, it broke after we did it, so it was a long time to ask the buddy to print parts for, because there was about 20 or 25 of them, and I thought, 2 days full of printing for a buddy, I'd owe him a lot of beer. So I just went out and bought them. They costed me about $40 in the end. They could have cost a little more. I didn't print them 100%. I only printed them 20% fill. I mean, they feel solid, but you can tell they're definitely hollow. Probably should have went with 100%. We'll find out. Worst comes to worst, get the thing together. I'll print off new parts, and we'll be good to go. So our build process can't start yet because, for one, I have no light, and for two, I'm missing a few pieces. I think the first thing we're going to do is get all our threaded rods. Cut down to size. This is the M10. I'm sorry. That's the other thing. I didn't buy any metric threaded rod. I bought Imperial. So this is 5/16 and 3/8 rod instead of M8 and M10. I did have to buy M5. He specifies that in one of his videos that it has to be M5 for the Z-axis, and I did have to order that online. Zoro, ZORO.com, I think it is, sells this. Wasn't that expensive. It was more expensive than it should have been. I think I paid maybe $7 or $8, maybe a little higher than that, just to have this shipped to me. So it might have been higher. I have pricing on that, but that was kind of expensive. Otherwise, everything else has been really cheap. The board I bought it locally at a hardware store, and I paid $11 for it. But I went to a fancy wood store, and I could have got it cheaper if I just went to Home Depot. So $11 for a piece of wood, that was really steep. Definitely could have got it cheaper at Home Depot, which I found out afterwards that they sell it, and it's like $7. So it's good to save some money there. And I think that's all we're going to go through today. But we'll see you in the next video, and looking forward to get this thing built and showing you guys what a 3D printer can do. And why am I building it for $200 when I could easily buy one for $200? I want to know how it works. I want to have the fun of the DIY, the build of it. And that's the main reason. So catch you guys next time.